Hi, my name's Sarah Kate Sly. I'm a college student with cerebral palsy. Welcome to my life. Subscribe and stick around a bit. If you don't already know, I'm a freshman at Auburn University. I love Aubrey the Tiger a lot. Probably more than Panda Express. And I'm living the time of my life at Auburn. What makes Auburn special is it really cares about its students, not just academically and mentally, but physically. When I first visited Auburn with applications in mind about a year ago, I told my mom, I was like, it's really like a family, and family means no one gets left behind. When I visited, I talked with the Office of Accessibility with a ton of questions. How will I get to class? What about my dorm? Can I get my wheelchair in my dorm? Will it be accessible? Will I have roommates in that dorm? Like, how am I going to manage all this stuff? How do I get my accommodations? How do I get this and this and this? Right off the bat, I'm sold because the lady that we're talking to has a seeing eye dog. So I'm like, okay, this is for real. They're going to take this seriously. Someone who works here has a disability themselves. So I'm like, this is the real deal. I'm excited. We talked to this woman and I am crazy impressed with how much there is. I can get a golf cart to take me to class. I can get accommodations for my hand so I can have more times on tests so that I can get my work done and not injure myself because my hand means that writing for a long time makes things slower. I can get copies of notes from my professor. I don't have to worry about room selection because an accessible room will be reserved for me. And I don't have to deal with any of that and wondering about getting the room, or like it'll just be there and no one else can take that room, which I was like, this is amazing. This is so exciting. I love this. People had accommodated me before, but I wasn't used to, here are all these things that we offer that are ready and just available for you to use right now. Like, we don't have to set this up for you. Like, it's here and it works. And it's prepared already before you get here. I was not used to that kind of thing. And some people, like my school's principal and just people that I knew, would kind of like make fun of me, like, oh yeah, you're going to Auburn, like your parents went to Auburn. And I was like, no. And people would ask me, well, why Auburn? And one of the big reasons I told them Auburn was because their Office of Accessibility, because I was like, this is serious. They know what they're doing. And I really felt welcome. Like, I really felt like we will do the best we can to make sure that you're comfortable and you can succeed. And like, really, that was probably what sold me, was how accessible but also disability friendly and welcoming Auburn's campus is. Because it's not just, we are gonna do these things because if we don't, it's illegal. But it was, I want to make sure that you succeed, and I want to make sure that you have these things and that you're comfortable, which was amazing. So here's a list of why I love Auburn, but keep in mind these things are with official accommodation through the Office of Accessibility in the university. This isn't just available to anyone. There's a big process to go through, but here's my list. Number 1, the JAUNT system. This is my favorite thing on campus. They're typically on time, and if they're not, they're easy to get a hold of. But the JAUNT service is a golf cart system with students as drivers, where you can say, hey, pick me up at this time from this place and take me to this place at this time. And they'll take you from class to class. And I don't use it every day because sometimes I'm like, I want to work out my legs. I want to bike to class. But I do use it, and it's really easy to work with. They say, hey, here's a map of all our spots where we can pick you up. Here's this and this and this. Here's this form that you need to fill out. And it's really easy, and they do a very good job of making it very simple. I probably annoy the crap out of them a lot because the rule is you're supposed to schedule rides before 4 p.m. the day before you need the rides. And I have professors who will send an email at like 5 p.m. and be like, hey, no class tomorrow. And I'm like, great. So then I send an email and I'm like, hey, cancel all my rides for tomorrow. because I can't change them. But I can cancel the rides, and I think they get really annoyed with me now because I do that because my professor cancels class last minute, and so I'm like, I'll just be sitting in this hot, uncomfortable building for an hour with nothing to do. But it is really easy, and I really enjoy it. I think that's probably the best accommodation that they have, but I'm kind of biased since I have a physical disability. But definitely physically, it's amazing, and it is the best. Accessible seating for sporting events. The football stadium, there are just a designated area of seats, and it's kind of just cutouts from the walkway where you can pull up in a wheelchair, and they'll have like folding metal chairs there. So if you want to bring a friend, you can do that. Those seats are first come, first serve, so I do have to get there pretty early, but there's pretty much always a seat available. Even for the Iron Bowl, the biggest game of the year, I was able to get seats for me and a friend of mine. So I really thought that that was great. And new, just in the past few months, there is accessible seating in the basketball arena. And you apply through email with the Office of Accessibility and say, hey, I want to get seats for this game. And you have to do it by noon the day before. And they're like, okay, yeah, arrive by the arena at this time and you'll have a ticket and you'll be able to sit there. And it's really cool because the lines for the arena for basketball games are horrendous. I live across the way from the arena. Typically, the line will go around my dorm. I'm in the corner of the dorm. I can see people out my window and down the sidewalk past my dorm. So pretty much I couldn't get to games before this policy was implemented unless I was there like 8 hours early. And I was like, I'm not sitting in my chair in a line with all these people to get trampled and having to sit here for 8 hours. And it was just bad, especially when it was cold. But now the time that I need to pick up my ticket is about 30 minutes after the doors open. So typically I wait like 10-15 minutes, and once everybody clears out and goes inside, I head that way, and there's no crowds to get through, there's no nothing. And I grab my ticket and I go to where I sit, and actually where the seats are, I end up being on TV a lot, and my mom is like, what are you wearing? Because I'll probably be able to see you when the camera's on that side. And sure enough, she can see me, and my wheelchair is bright green, so she does see me, and she's like, I can see you, and I know that it's you. So that part's really cool too. Classroom accommodations. This semester, the process for applying for accommodations with specific professors is entirely automated and online, and it's amazing. I can schedule tests online, I can schedule meetings with professors and be like, hey, here's a list of my accommodations, and then I can email them and be like, when can we meet to talk about specifics? And it's really cool, and I really enjoy the online system because before I had to go in, talk to somebody, and then they'd send it out, and then I'd have to do a bunch of stuff. But it's really nice because I can just go in, it's all in the same place. I can do a ton of stuff. Like, it's really impressive, the system that we have. It's real easy. It's amazing. And I can request proctored exams with the Office of Accessibility and be like, hey, I want computer aid for this exam. I want time and a half. I want this and this and this. And I can change it every time. Like, it doesn't have to be the same thing because I can pick and choose. Well, I'll be like, oh, I don't know if I want to use my computer for this exam. Like, I think I just want the time and a half. And it's real simple. They have clear expectations for everything. You go in, show your ID, they give you a number, you sit down, they're like, hey, put all your stuff away, put your phone away, put your backpack behind you, and you're like, awesome, that's great. And it's really simple and easy. And once you do it once or twice, you get the hang of it. And I've started telling people what to do. Like, I see people who have accommodations for like ADHD, and they look confused because they're like, I don't know how this works. And I walk on in with my mask, with my ID ready, and I'm like, here's my ID. give me my test and my card, and I go sit down. And so it's really simple, and I've really enjoyed taking tests with the office this semester. I didn't do that last semester because I had to just email my professors, and they were all like, yeah, like, come before class and take it in my office or in the classroom or whatever. One thing I have kind of had issues with proctored exams is sometimes because of availability in the office. Like if there are a bunch of tests in 1 week, they won't have spaces available when it's convenient for me. I've had to actually miss a class because I had a test that was scheduled for that time and I couldn't change it because that was the only time they had available. So I had to email my instructor and be like, hey, here's this email from the office. Will you give me notes because I'm gonna have to miss class? But my instructor was super understanding, and that's been the only incident this whole semester, so it really wasn't a big deal. Campus accessibility. For the most part, most buildings on campus are accessible. Most. Looking at you, Funchess. And for the ones that aren't accessible, they're not staying around any longer, or they're being moved. So, like, it doesn't really affect me that much. But Auburn is super accessible, and it's really easy to get around on a bike or in a chair or walking, so it's amazing. I really love the Auburn family. I really feel like I'm being loved and cared for, not just tolerated and just this sore thumb that sticks out and it's kind of the big elephant in the room. I really feel like people care about me and that the administration cares about me. This video is made possible by my patrons on Patreon, and a special thank you to Robert DeBoer and the Ginn family. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.